Hello. With working within NDS, there's been some questions about how we can work with different feed mills and work with different user list or feed banks. We call them user list, but there's a way to take that user list and get a cost file and then work with different feed mills. And I've invited a guy who does a whole lot more of it than I've ever done, and I've asked Dr. Bob Fry to go ahead and make a presentation on doing that. So I'm going to let Bob take over and show us how he works within NDS on that.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Good morning to everyone. I recently had a great opportunity with a new dairy farm that gets feed from, or wants to get feed from, a feed mill that I've never worked with. I've made contact with the feed mill, and they seem to be very eager to coordinate with me in such a way that I have access to their feed list, their feed cost, item codes, and so on and so forth. And so I want to share with you how I have integrated this new feed mill's data into eventually a diet that would be presented to any given group of cows in this herd. The feed mill is called Ineos Valley Feeding, Ineos Valley Milling. And so the first thing I had to do was to reach out to them and ask them if they would send me a list of their ingredients and item codes. That's all I wanted from them. And you can see in this Excel spreadsheet, Dave, let me blow it up a little bit if my mouse will work. So they sent me this Excel spreadsheet with just a list of ingredients, item codes, and I've already populated most of these ingredients in NDS, but there's two more that they just sent me that I've highlighted in yellow: ground barley and RUM&N 90. And so I want to show you next how I would get those two feeds into a user list and create a complete user list for Ineos Valley Milling. So first I go to feeds. Oh boy, we're working with two screens here. It's gonna be tough. Okay, and so, yep, barley. I search for barley, and I'm actually going to use the RUM&N feed library. And here I find barley grain, and we have some really good barley in this part of the country, and so I'm going to call it 58% starch. And so that's coming from the RUM&N feed library, and I want to apply that to a user list. So I right click on it, okay, create a new user feed, okay. A new feed will be created, and then this screen pops up. Well, first of all, I know that barley's, I've made a mistake there, so let me go back. I didn't right click on the correct row. Right click on barley grain, create new user feed. Okay, so now we have this name, and I want to rename it, okay. And I always like, and you'll see how this is useful to me later, is apply an acronym to the beginning of the feed mill's name. So Ineos Valley Milling, barley, ground. That's what I want to call it. Okay, and I need to give it Ineos Valley Milling's item code, which in the Excel spreadsheet they sent to me was 4305. Okay, proceed. That one's done. The other new one they sent me was RUM&N. There is no RUM&N 90 in the RUM&N feed library. So I'm going to go to the CNCPS library, and there it is, RUM&N 90. I'm going to right click on it, a new user feed. Do I want to proceed? Yes. And here again, I want to put Ineos Valley Milling in front of the name. and I need to apply their item code, which was 2547, and hit proceed. Now, I've already done that with the laundry list of ingredients that Ineos Valley Milling sent me. And so I have all those in my feed list, but I don't have them in a user list yet. And so next I go to utility and slide down to user lists. And come on now. This is a little bit of a challenge working with two screens. Okay, so now I'm in a situation where I want to create a user list. And so I'm in utility, create user list, click on that icon, and you can see in my computer I've got 10 or 12 different mills that are already created a user list, but we're going to create a new one. Click on the new name, Ineos Valley Milling, the description, same. The description doesn't matter too much. Okay, and you can see there's no feeds in the list yet. So we're going to save that. And now Ineos Valley Milling has been added to this list. You can see how many feeds are in each feed mill's list here. Okay. And so that part is done. We've just created the list, but it doesn't have any feeds in it. And you can see over on the right-hand side here, I've got a blank to the screen. I'm now going to select Ineos Valley Milling, and you can see I have a user list called Ineos Valley Milling with 0 feeds. Over on the left side are all the feeds in my feed library. There's 6. You can see up here in the upper left, there's 6,295. Well, I only want to add the Ineos Valley Millings to the Ineos Valley user list, and that's where this acronym comes in handy. I'm going to search for IVM. There they all are. Okay. David, it would be handy if there was a way to select all, but I don't know what it is.
I thought there was a box up there up at the top.
You can deselect all items,
all. Huh.
but you can't select all. Send that up the food chain, maybe.
I shall.
Okay, so I've checked all the boxes. Bring them over here, and now there are 20 feeds in the Ineos Valley feed list that have the exact same item codes as the mill does. We can alphabetize this by clicking on the ingredients title, or we can order it by numeric order. I typically like alphabetical order. So we've created an Ineos Valley Milling user list. There's no save button. You can get out of here by just clicking the X. And the next thing I wanted to do was to create a RUM&N template cost file that I can send to Ineos Valley Milling and get them to send back to me. So once again, I go to utility. And now we go up to the icons in the top here, and there's one that says create cost file in Excel. So I click on that, and I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to put it somewhere on my computer, which is going to be temporary files. Okay, and I'm going to hit proceed. import complete. And it should open up for me. Not yet. Here we go. So this is a RUM&N template cost file, okay? And this is what I'm going to send to the mill and have them send back to me. You cannot change the layout of this, okay? You can change the titles if you want to, but you cannot change the, you don't want to change the columns and so on and so forth. This $100 here, or it's $100 per ton, is just a placeholder. And so ahead of time, I had already sent this to the mill. Let me open it up. And this is what they sent back to me. Okay, so here's the ingredient list. Okay. And they have actually a cost system in that feed mill of 4 different cost structures. One is the actual cost of the ingredient. The second one is mixed and delivered in zone 1, mixed and delivered zone 2, mixed and delivered with a 15% markup on each ingredient. Okay, every mill is going to have something different. A lot of feed mills will only give you their retail price, but it varies from mill to mill. Okay. Yeah. So that's that. They sent that back to me. Okay, and I saved it in my computer. Okay, let me cancel out of here. And now I want to import those costs. So back to my utility screen. Well, actually, I can go to the startup screen and data exchange. We're going to import feed costs. The screen opens up, and this will trick you up from time to time if you're not careful. You have to specify what file type is coming in. And remember, we created an Excel file in a RUM&N template format. It's always going to be this one here, Excel file, RUM&N template. And this is where I saved what the mill sent back to me. At least in my computer, this comes up by default, English. The weight's going to be pricing per ton. And I'm going to update the cost, and I get to select which user list. Okay. I'm going to update Ineos Valley Milling. And in my case, sometimes I'll update a particular farm. We're going to update this workshop demo farm. If you checked all, whether it be on farms or user list, it won't make any impact to those other mills' user lists, because keep in mind, we have an acronym in front of each one of these names that is specific to the item code. NDS is not going to allow you to have duplicate item codes. So it's only going to pull in based on the item code. So hit proceed.
I think they
You'll be able to
that.
see how it's coming.
Yeah, they made
Say it
that
again,
default.
David.
They made that default over there. Import feeds by item code 1, and that I think it's
Oh, here, yeah, it's checked in mine.
Uncheck it anymore. Yeah, so.
Okay. Okay, so the import is complete. I can close. Okay. Now there's a couple places to go next. If you want to just be sure that all your feeds came in, you can go to this cost button here, update costs. And we get a file that looks like this. And I could search for Ineos Valley Milling. And you can see that I've got the ingredients with the item code, and just momentarily they all came in, except for barley and and RUM&N, which I just added a few moments ago and really aren't included in the list yet. They're not included in the RUM&N template file yet. Okay, so we can close there. Next, we can go to a diet. And come on.
So just out of curiosity, when the feed mill is working with the cost template file, are they able to cut and paste after initial time? It just becomes pretty easy for them to update that one file, right?
Absolutely. And some feed mills have a macro developed where they can just hit a button and it automatically populates this week's prices. Okay, so now this is just a pretend diet. Okay, you can see I've got some forages here at the top: straw, boot stage, alfalfa hay, corn silage, and I've got all these Ineos Valley milling ingredients. Okay, and I actually have an Ineos Valley complete mineral, and you can see that the cost has populated from that RUM&N template Excel sheet that we imported. Okay. The cost has populated because I selected to update the demo farm, and I also selected to update Ineos Valley milling. You can see that right now my cost source is demo farm. If I selected Ineos Valley milling, it's still going to show. It's thinking still. I hope I don't break this thing, Dave.
It takes some bandwidth when we're on the YouTube like this, so.
Okay. But what's going to happen here is when it finishes updating Ineos Valley milling prices, it's still going to have the same prices for all these Ineos Valley milling, but now I've lost the farm prices. And so that's why I like to update not only the farm and the mill, because I get both.
So the way that it is explained to me, that the farm prices are held first, and then the pricing from whatever mill is second as we save the file. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
And it's nice that NDS has got these color coded. So a farm level cost is always going to be in green. And if it's a mill level price, it's going to be in blue. If it's something that you've edited, it's going to be in brown or kind of a rust color. Okay. Now, this thing is still thinking a little bit, Dave. Here we go. You'll see just under demo farm down here, we got set one. This feed mill sent back various pricing tiers. And so you can, I sure don't like the way this thing takes so long.
It doesn't do that in person. It's just with the
no.
width we got here.
All right. So remember the mill sent prices for 4 different sets. Set 4, which you can change the name of these from set 4 to cost plus 15%. And once that gets done thinking, it's going to, all these prices are going to change. You see that? So that's the cost of the ingredient plus 15%. Now, another handy thing I would show or share it with Dave is if you go up to, here you're in your diet and now you're getting ready to build this diet out. If you go to feed details, slide down to feed info. I gotta bring that from my other screen. Okay. You get to select what the source of the cost is if you want to change it. Okay. So this is, you can change any one of these if you want to. Change them all.
Hey, while you're in that screen, do me a
Yeah.
favor and let's pretend like he grows all his own forages up there at the top. So he purchases none of the top 5.
All right. So you can uncheck those, and then all these other things are purchased.
And this drives sometimes as we look through. So this last one was, why do you classify everything in the mix as purchased? Because we ran into some guys in parts of the world where they would grain bank soybeans and they would be getting that from the mill. So we had to have a option where you could unmix that and select that you didn't purchase your own soybeans. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
why that comes up on those mixes.
All right, so I get to say yes, and here we do save. Okay, so yeah. So anyway, we can, I want to go back to set 1, Dave, just to make this, this should give everything a price.
And then from there, you can mix your mixes, and there you will go ahead and have a price.
Right, so let's just take a minute and make a, I've already got forages in here, so we're going to take a, you know, you could use the optimizer or whatever, but I'm just going to do real quick and dirty here. We'll do, and we need some salt, and we need some lime. Don't anybody save this diet. Okay, so now we've got some mineral. We got 53.8. It's a it's a low end diet. It's only a 73-pound diet. Okay, but let's say you were perfectly satisfied with this for this particular producer, and now you want to make a mix out of these ingredients. We want to have some VTM in here, so we're going to use this one, 0.125. And so now I'm going to create a mix. A handy thing in NDS is to check all, and that's going to select everything other than any forages. So now I've got all my grains. I always put a date to it, so this is a 10/5/24. Maybe it's actually 10/4/24. And for this one, again, I stay with my convention of putting Union Valley Milling in front of it. So now I've created a mix based on set 1. It's going to cost $265.93. I'll right click on that. I get the option to populate the diet with the actual selling cost.
on the go to meeting, it seems like it's taking a lot of time because that's almost an immediate little.
Yeah, it's come on. At least the program's not locking up on me, Dave. Here we go.
So, oh, it's over in the.
So here this feed based on the cost file, set one cost file, which is what the mill is purchasing the feed for. It's $265.93. They've already told me that they charge a $50 markup to mix and deliver this to the farm. So I know that ahead of time. So what's it's going to be, 315.93. And if I right click on that, I get to put it in the recipe. And now that shows 315.93. And down at the bottom, you can see I have a die cost of $6.33, which the purchase cost is $3.41. Not a good diet necessarily, but just trying to demonstrate how I use the feed cost. Now, the next week, let's say we got a new cost RUM&N template cost file from NES Valley Milling. I would import that, and this would automatically update the new price to next week's prices. It's not going to update the selling price, but it's going to update the set one ingredient costs.
Hey, click on another ingredient over there, just so they can see, because that turns into a brown cost, right?
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we know that's a changed. The red
Right.
is a formulation. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's edited by the user, and you can see it's probably hard to see, but you got green. That's a mill level pricing. Green is farm level pricing, and brown or rust colored is going to be a user edited pricing.
Well,
So Dave,
perfect.
that's the way I use this. It might not be for everybody, but if you can find it useful, give it a try. It's a lot of power there within the model to manage costs.
Yeah, and we're not we're doing keystrokes and showing cost, and man, I appreciate showing that and the ability to move those, and you're able to do that with several mills, right? Just bringing
A
those
dozen different
templates in.
mills, and everybody's got a different cost structure. Every farm's got a different cost structure. The important thing to keep in mind is that an ingredient is only known to NDS by its item code. And you can have an item code of 1000 and you can call it anything you want. But when you import from the feed mill, whatever they call item 1000, the price is going to come in, but it's not going to change your name. Your name can say, in this case, IVM cornmeal, and they might call it ground corn. If you want to call it cornmeal, that's fine, but you got to stick with the item code.
Correct. Everything goes by item code. Okay, thanks for that. Hey, I really appreciate that, and I think what we'll do is stick this up on YouTube and let everybody see some of the power. I really appreciate you presenting that, and thanks a lot, Bob.
All right, anytime, Dave.